Report story. The sun began to rise over the almost complete rebuilt school dorm. Mina, groggy and sore from all the help reconstructing, walked down the stairs of the 1A dorm, rubbing the sand out of her eyes. Good morning, she said to everyone who had made it to the lobby before her. A few grunted, with even fewer hellos thrown her way. Everyone was tired. Good morning, Tora, Mina said, sitting down next to the floating shirt and shorts in the seat next to her. Good morning. You doing all right? You've been a bit off since, Ochako left. Tora said with concern, however Mina shrugged it off with a small smile. Yay, I was trying to ignore it but. Mina looked at the red-haired boy sitting on the couch. Someone special helped me out. The floating shirt's movements indicated that Tora was looking back and forth between Kirishima and Mina before a small squeal came out. Mina, you totally. Shush. We'll talk about it later. I would put my hand over your mouth if I could see it. Sato, can you make me some eggs and rice? Sato nodded from the kitchen as he made breakfast for everyone, wearing a white apron. Okay, everyone, listen up, Iida said from the center of the room, Momo standing next to him. Everyone groggily turned to him. It's been a tough week to say the least. The class murmured in agreement. We had a rough villain attack, we had a lot of physical labor, and, for the time being, we've lost 3 of our treasured classmates. 2. Mineta said. 3. Bakugo is a valued member. I know things are tough right now but, society needs us more than ever. Classes start back up today, so let's give it our all, everyone. Let's make Midoriya and Uraraka proud. And Bakugo if that's possible. It's not, the class said in unison. All right, everyone. Let's go learn. You won't be learning anything today. Aizawa said. The class cheered. Yay, we finally get a break. Mina shouted. We can finally take a day to ourselves, Jiro said. Maybe you and I can have some quality time. Kaminari said. Jiro blushed as she turned away. Maybe. She said, blushing a bit. How do you still get embarrassed when we've been dating this long? Kaminari asked, legitimately disappointed, earning him a poke to the eye with an earphone jack. After all my hard work, I can take it easy. I was the first one to take on gaslighter out of anyone. Mineta started ranting. Glad you all are excited not to have class, because you guys are no longer students. The class immediately went silent. I'm sorry, sir. Maybe I misheard you. Did you say we weren't students anymore? Momo asked. Aizawa nodded. I did. Though honestly, that's only half correct. Aizawa said in his usual monotone voice. I'll be honest with all of you. The government has put a probation on all heroic academic education has been put on a probation. Our school is shutting down for the time being. Heroes are quitting left and right, and the government doesn't know if the hero career and agencies are up to the task. Promoted stories. You'll also like. There's something up with Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya had watched his mentor fight for his life and end up using the last of his power. Now being the sole wielder of One for All, Izuku knows he needs to work. Dreamscape 371K 10.4 KYN has been trapped for most of her life, used as a tool for others' gain. Her quirk was fabricated to be used as the perfect weapon, a weapon to help in stealing other. Symbol of hope Izuku X hair, named weapon of a true hero. This is the old version. The new rewrite can be found in archive of our own. under a new name. Red Halo heroes today are corrupted by the Black Lady of the Night. Vigilante hero was out one night and saw a person fighting a whole group of villains all by themselves, but the problem is that they're badly injured and no one knows. Shining Light 42.8K928 Quickless, normal. No heroes are quirks. So Izuku Midoriya and Ochako Uraraka have been best friends since kindergarten. But when problems in high school try to drift them, cruelty, X 1.2M 40.3K. A very hostile girl whom despised everyone and everyone despised her. Izuku Midoriya, a very sweet boy who was popular with his classmates, oddly developed. Dream on B. K. Downwards arrow tip rightwards, in which a jealous bachelor signs a deal with the devil in order to win over the heart of his first love. Katsuki Bakugo has loved the PR. Aizawa paused, looking through the surprised faces of the students. We have information regarding what might be society's downfall. It's not much, but it's something. However, we are low on heroes. There are two things you can do. You can leave the school and go home, or live in the dorms for an indefinite amount of time. Or you can join me and the other pros on a mission to stop the incoming threat under the pretenses of your provisional licenses. Aizawa once again looked at his students, the slightest bit of empathy in his face. It won't be easy. Even pros don't handle this kind of mission. It may very well be out of our type of jurisdiction. But as a hero, we have a duty. But it comes with risks that I can't even begin to go into. No one will criticize you for just staying in the dorms. The class sat in silence. Todoroki and Momo glanced at each other, Momo's face full of surprise and fear at the same time, Todoroki's the slightest bit of confusion. Mina stared down at her knees, her fist clenched at the sudden news. She raised her head to look at Kirishima. Her eyes grew wide, staring at the fiery-haired student. Kirishima had stood from his chair, determination in his eyes. With Bakugo, Midoriya, and Uraraka out there on their own mission, I would criticize myself if I let them do all the hard work. Full knowing people are in danger. I'm helping. If he's going, I'm going. Mina said exasperatedly, standing quickly. The class took a second to stare at her. He's right. I won't let them do this alone either. Todoroki and Momo stood, both smiling. We shall join as well. We want to help people as heroes after all. Momo said, I can't let Midoriya get ahead of me even more than he already has. Todoroki said with a small smile. Wait, are you guys serious? Mineta said, looking fearful. However, he watched as one by one the students of Class 1A stood. I will not let darkness cover this city. The darkness is for me and me alone to conquer. Tokiyami said as he folded his arms. Ochako-chan is my friend. I will help any way that I can. Ribbit. Su-chan stood. No way, I'm letting the girls do this alone. Tora called. Soon the entire class except for Mineta was standing. He looked between the students, his head doing circles. AAAAARRRGH fine. Mineta yelled as he stood reluctantly. I consider this peer pressure. No one else is wanting to stay. Don't worry, Mineta. Maybe this will get you brownie points. You're kinda in a way going against the government depending on what they have us do, and ladies love a rebel. Ciro say with his triangular smile. Suddenly Mineta looked much less upset. Aizawa just barely smiled. All of his students were in, and he was sure he didn't need to ask the three in the Hokkaido. There was no way they were gonna turn down this mission request, though they would have to be told another time. Aizawa couldn't risk Midoriya jumping off the mountain and giving his position away in order to help out with this. Alright then. From this day forward, while you'll be under terms of your provisional licenses, you basically are doing the work of unregistered pro heroes. As much as I hate to use this term, you are basically vigilantes. While heroes usually punish the vigilantes currently out there, we have much bigger problems and threats at hand here. If anything, again, as much as I hate this, we may need assistance of the vigilantes out there. Aizawa took a frustrating breath. Please understand, while your provisional licenses, and as pro heroes will take as much of the heat as possible for allowing this, you may be subjected to punishment if you are caught. That's why many of these missions will be considered, legally, as undercover as to minimize government interference. So we really are kind of going against the government here. Iida cut in. But why would the government shut down the hero schools and target the heroes? Very long, complicated political answer short. It's a power move. Aizawa said simply. The government feels heroes have gained a bit too much independent power, even with the authority rule and legal limitations pressed against us. We're too powerful as a collective movement. They want to control us more by willingly sacrificing the current safety of society to build a much safer society from the ruins. To take charge with military force when things get out of hand. Unfortunately, their hopes are a bit too high. With what we are facing, there won't be anything for the government to govern if this keeps going. That's why the limited pros that we do have are doing what we can. The government, unfortunately, isn't on the side of the civilians or society in the long run. Oi, that's the short answer. Ojiro said to himself. Again, you're going against the government. Without going against the government. It's an extremely fine line. Again, once you're in. You're in. If anyone wishes to back out now, take a seat. Final warning. No one sat, though Minetta's legs were wildly shaking, tears in his eyes. Aizawa nodded. The job of a hero is to protect the people around him. Sometimes, that means going against the norm. We're ready. Iida said with an awkward smile. Zero snickered teasingly. He's excited to go against the grain. With permission. He laughed. Iida turned with his karate chop aimed at Zero. This is a very important situation. I'm doing what is best for society. He said. You got that right, Iida. You go, man. Zero said with a thumbs up. Alright then. Once again, these will all be considered undercover missions. No one outside of this classroom must know of the missions I am giving to you. In fact, each one of you will have your own separate mission to go on. Don't even discuss it between yourselves. For the time being, everyone head to your dorms to start packing. Take what you need, not everything. You still live at the dorms, consider this a business trip. I will call you in teams for each individual mission. Kirishima, Mina, Todoroki, Yaoyorozu. You four stay. You are the first I will discuss with. Everyone else, file out. Don't forget, this isn't training or even proper hero work. This is even more real than the actual real hero work. This will be intense and dangerous. Probably the hardest thing you will have ever done. Keep that in mind. Dismissed. The students filed out the room except for the four students called out. Aizawa walked to the door and locked it behind him. Yaoyorozu, create a frequency jammer for me. Everyone set your phones on the desk here. Each did as instructed, placing the phones on the desk and Momo creating a jammer, making sure we aren't being watched. Now, as for your mission, here are the papers of the situation. Look over them carefully. The enemy we are dealing with is called the Meta Liberation Army, a movement that wishes for the freedom of quirks. That doesn't sound all too bad on the outside, Mina said with a finger to her cheek. Aizawa shook his head, not at first glance, but under the seams, there's much more work at play. Originally we had pinpointed their base to be around this area in the woods. Aizawa pointed to a wooded area of the map. And potentially, somewhere in the city there is a hospital. Without too much proof to be shown, we believe this hospital is where Nomus are being manufactured. Nomus are coming from the Liberation. I thought they were a league of villain creation, Hiroshima said. Unless they are in works, Todoroki said with his arms crossed. We believe they are. Inevitably, we also believe that the League will actually take control of the Liberation. The big villain All Might defeated, All for One, has connections in the Liberation. Seriously, do you think he's going to come back? Mina said, shaking a bit. It's possible, but that is what we are going to try to prevent. This was just the original plan of the Liberation, however. They have started spreading out and organizing in different parts of the country. Something triggered them to move, a new goal in mind. Midoriya. They all said together. Aizawa nodded. Yes, and they seem to have a few others as goals to find. People, special quirks that they want. We are still digging up who they are after specifically. However, we know for starters Midoriya is one of them. No one but All Might, Nezu, their parents, and I know where Midoriya, Bakugo, and Uraraka are. Unfortunately, it seems as though some of the liberation has located close to their area. Aizawa pointed at Sapporo, Hokkaido. There doesn't seem to be any contact made. In fact, intel shows that they may have had connections there without us realizing. Good thing is there hasn't been any commotion, so those three in the liberation haven't come in contact yet. Yet, Momo said quietly, if they haven't come in contact, they don't know Midoriya is there. Meaning, one of the targets the liberation is after is located in Sapporo, Hokkaido. Momo finished. Correct. With us knowing they have already been there a while. Then that signifies they may have already found whoever this is. This is where you three come in. Your mission is to go undercover and locate who this mission person is, who these liberation are, and what their plan is. Finding the individual plan of this group will help the overarching plan of the liberation. Right, the four said together. Dismissed. The four started walking out. However, before they reached the door, Aizawa coughed. Oh, and one other thing. The students looked back. Do not make contact with those three if possible. We don't want Midoriya blowing his cover and jumping into action. He is their biggest target, and he doesn't fully realize the extent of that importance. He may be smart, but his will to save those in trouble outweighs his common sense at times. Bakugo will do what he can to take on a huge villain. If you absolutely need to make contact, get in touch with Ochako Uraraka. She's the most level-headed of the three. But even then, that's an absolute emergency. Do not make contact, if possible. Understood? Understood. They said in unison once again, though Mina's eye flinched a bit. Aizawa waved, instructing the next batch of students to be sent to him. All right, guys, Hiroshima said, let's get this show on the road. Hima, Izuku called out from the shrine doorway. Ochako poked her head through as Izuku walked in. The two had returned the next day from Ochako's parents' apartment after staying the night to visit Hima, to check her health and strength. Izuku had kept a good foot of distance between the two in bed, fearing her father would pop in and murder him for touching his daughter, while Ochako stared at the wall, burning red after her mother gave her a whole box of condoms. Izuku, don't you think it's a bit strange that Hima didn't sense us coming? Usually we would have seen the illusion of her right. Ochako said. Izuku thought about that. You're right, that is a bit weird. Izuku jogged up the stairs, Ochako running after him, locating the silver-haired girl in the bed, still sitting up. Oh Hima, you're awake. How are you feeling? Good to see you sitting up. Izuku said with a smile. However Hima's misty eyes blinked. Izuku-kun, why are you here? She asked. Izuku and Ochako gave her a confused look. What do you mean Hima? We told you we would be back the next day after we visited Ochako's parents. Izuku said, confused. Hima tilted her head. But that's today, she said. Izuku and Ochako blinked. Hima, that was yesterday. Did you forget about yesterday? Izuku asked nervously. Hima did nothing but stare. I don't remember. Kenlair here. All right. Downtime is over, guys. Time to get into the true meat of the arc. Strap in. Kenny boy. End credit scene. Aizawa and Yamada rode down the elevator silently, watching the floors pass by them. You think it's really him? You think they actually turned his body into that? Yamada asked. Aizawa sighed. I'm not sure. I hope not, but if it's true, then it's valuable information. He said, monotone. That's all you have to say. You're only thinking about the mission. Yamada said loudly. Aizawa's eyes started glowing red. Of course not. He yelled back. The elevator came to a stop at a floor underground. The elevator door opened. With gas lighter and how society is right now. We have priorities. Yamada stared at Aizawa before clicking his tongue. The two walked down the hallway before turning and opening a metal door. So, any other results? Aizawa asked. What seemed to be a doctor holding a clipboard. Well, it's only been a week since Midoriya. Izuku pulled him through that portal. I wanna do test on him as well. Usually his energy from what I hear, is green. This time I hear it was pink. I wonder what that was about. Something I could test maybe. Leave my students out of this. Aizawa said dangerously. The doctor shrugged. I'm just saying. It's amazing what that boy did. Took on Gaslighter and the League of Villains Dobby. Not only that, but he daringly reached through the portal and grabbed the person with the most information we could have dreamed. Though he's not a person. He's a Nomu. And unfortunately, he might be exactly what you're looking for. Unfortunately, the test subject they used to create him was someone dear to you. Aizawa and Yamada looked into the glass prison, the figure behind the reinforced glass chained up, wrapped in cloth, with machines hooked up to him. How can you tell? Aizawa asked. His quirk. He's similar to your high school friends. The doctor said. He died. Yamada said. He did. Someone used his body. The doctor countered. He's awake. He may have answers. Aizawa walked towards the glass, nose almost touching it, his eyes growing red now staring at the person on the other side. All right, you need to talk. Now. Understand. Kurogiri. Where stories live. Discover now.